James was the child of a broken home. He had two parents who hated each other but wouldn't divorce and never figured out how to have hate sex. Frustration without release is how you wind up on an episode of Cops. He and I shouldn't have ever had anything to do with each other. I mean, really, I was in the honors program. He had been held aback twice. I came from a well-adjusted suburban family, and James' parents thought raccoons made great entrees. I was a natural 7. He was an apocalypse 7. You know, he'd be pretty hot if there was an ongoing zombie apocalypse. Just like Florida isn't only a good place to live if you're... No. Florida is never a good place to live. James lives in Florida now. We met in high school, an incubator designed by society to take all of your deepest, darkest insecurities and shove them right down your throat for 4 straight years. Maybe 7 if you're James. I can't tell you what I saw in James now. We dated a long time ago, but I know for sure he was a sweet kid and he was passive enough to do absolutely anything I asked him to. It turns out this kind of interaction is the basis for a lot of high school relationships. Maybe dating in high school for James and I was like a punch card. He ran 30 errands for me in a month, and bam, then we were dating. It's almost like the slow osmosis of losing love for a spouse, but backwards. We started with contempt and slowly fell for each other. I did love James, though. And I loved him, but I never fucked him. But I did fight a cokehead for him once. You know how high school has those cliques? The preps, the jocks, the stoners, the nerds, the other nerds, the other nerds, the debate kids, the black kids, the other nerds, and the cokeheads. This coke bitch would harass James constantly. I'm gonna fuck your man, Chelsea. And I was like, oh, this is high school. Oh, whatever. Well, it's really his choice. Well, I'm gonna steal your man. In retrospect, kind of rapey. Either way, cum and coke don't generally mix well. James didn't like the harassment. Just like any teenage boy, James was incredibly worried about the size of his penis. The size of his penis. What anyone would do with it, or to it, or on it. Sex is great, but just about 90% of the boys in high school will accidentally qualify for the Olympics running away from it. The other 10% will wash up, destroy the housing market, and brag about their varsity quarterback record at Thanksgiving dinners until they die. So James and I compromised. I would kick the coke bitch's ass, so she'd stop harassing James, and he'd take the Confederate flag off his backpack. In the family James was from, actually the whole neighborhood he was from, there was a very structured path of cultural milestones that came with age. At 8, you ran over a turtle with a stolen tractor. At 10, the Confederate battle flag and "Don't Tread on Me" are attached to all your satchels. At 13, you ran over a raccoon with a used truck and prepared dinner with it. James and I wound up living together pretty soon. My mom knew about his home situation, namely the raccoon eating and the latent white supremacy, and she wanted James to do better in school. So we took him in and put him in our spare room where he lived for months. It was technically kidnapping. But his family never really noticed that he was gone. Outside of his native environment, James began to thrive. He learned quickly, his grades soared, and he visited the dentist for the first time ever. Our makeouts improved dramatically. With James so close to home for me, I thought we would grow closer. And that's when I began to realize that I had fallen in love with someone else. You can't choose who you are. And God knows teenagers already have no idea who they are. So the idea of polyamory took me and my emotions completely by storm. Polyamory, if you don't know, is the need to love and be loved by multiple people, as opposed to finding romantic fulfillment with one person. And it's the way I'm wired. But I didn't know that at the time. Everything about our American world is programmed for one white person to fall in love with one white person, and said white people marry each other. All the movies and rom-coms tell us so. You have one true love. And if not, you're a slut or a bitch. James and I continued to date for months after I started to love someone else. I did love James, but love isn't proprietary, and I'd met someone new. So eventually we broke up. Now, I'm from Texas City, ironically a small town, so I never knew polyamory was a way I could be wired, nor that it even existed. So of course, as a teenager, I handled the situation super smoothly. I told James, I still love you, but I also love this other guy. And he was like, well, let's not break up. If there's ever any doubt, there's no doubt. We continue to put melancholy band-aids on our relationship after time, dating, and name only. James couldn't handle my divided heart, and I couldn't handle the guilt of loving two people. We should have broken up, obviously, when I told him that I loved someone else. But we didn't, and that made the breakup more painful when it did come months later. When the semester ended, I went to be a nanny in New England, while James continued to live with my mom. He eventually moved out. I moved back to Texas, and I never saw him face to face again. James would leave half-committed love notes in my locker for the rest of high school, the kind of compliments a shy boy makes when they think they're dropping hints, but they really aren't. Imagine pink paper in the shape of a heart with, your boots are nice. James didn't date anyone else for years, and I broke his heart by following mine. Life isn't fair, and love isn't fair, but by loving yourself and being true to your own heart, you can find happiness. Although in high school, no one's happy. Fuck high school.